Saturday, 25 July 2026. 3 Asia-Pacific AI stories before your first coffee. Beijing's State Administration for Market Regulation fined Trip.com 5.179 billion yuan, roughly $765 million, for abusing its dominant position in online hotel booking. The penalty names the platform's traffic allocation, price matching, and automated monitoring systems as the specific instruments of anti-competitive enforcement, marking the first time a Chinese regulator has treated ranking and pricing algorithms as documentary evidence of market abuse. At 7.5% of 2025 domestic sales, the fine rate is nearly double the 4% applied to Alibaba in 2021. Why it matters. SAMR is no longer just punishing outcomes, it is treating the algorithm itself as the weapon. For platform operators across Asia, the evidentiary shift is significant. Recommendation engines, dynamic pricing logic, and traffic steering systems are now subject to the same forensic scrutiny as contracts or internal memos. Compliance teams at major platforms in Southeast Asia, Japan, and India should expect their own regulators to study this precedent closely, particularly where dominant booking or e-commerce platforms use similar automated enforcement loops. The second-order effect worth tracking is whether this triggers preemptive algorithm audits across the region, as platforms move to document and defend their ranking logic before a regulator asks to see it. So, Hong Kong's exchange has received a confidential listing filing from MetaX, making it the 4th Chinese GPU designer to reach public markets in 9 months, with Baidu's Kunlunshin potentially next in line. MetaX raised roughly $600 million in Shanghai just 8 months ago, and is now targeting a late 2026 debut. The cluster of IPOs follows Biren, MoreThreads, and Iluvatar CoreX, all of which listed since late 2025, signaling that domestic chip designers are racing to lock in capital while investor appetite for China's semiconductor self-sufficiency narrative holds. Why it matters. The fundraising wave tells you more about the capital cycle than the technology cycle. Biren holds roughly 0.16% of China's intelligent computing chip market, and revenue across the cohort remains thin relative to the valuations investors are underwriting. For operators and capital allocators across Southeast and South Asia eyeing these chips as alternatives to NVIDIA, the real bottleneck is software support, not raw performance per dollar. Immature tool chains and limited framework compatibility mean switching costs stay high, even if unit prices drop. The second-order effect worth tracking is whether this triggers preemptive algorithm audits across the region, as platforms move to document and defend their ranking logic before a regulator asks to see it. So, Seoul's 2 semiconductor giants have locked roughly $950 billion of chip supply into America's AI infrastructure over the next 5 years. Samsung signed a deal worth more than $200 billion to supply Broadcom with HBM4 memory and fabricate its AI chips on 4nm process technology, while the SK Group added approximately $750 billion in long-term memory commitments. The agreements land during a severe shortage that pushed contract DRAM prices up 90 to 95% quarter-on-quarter in early 2026. Why it matters. These 5-year pacts effectively reserve a large share of Korea's advanced memory and foundry capacity for American hyperscalers and chip designers through 2030, which reshapes the supply picture for every other buyer in the region. Asian cloud builders, device makers, and sovereign AI projects that depend on HBM and leading-edge fab slots now face a tighter allocation window and higher pricing power from Korean suppliers. Capital allocators should watch whether this triggers a second wave of fab investment commitments in Japan, Singapore, and Malaysia, as governments and corporates scramble for alternative capacity. The concrete second-order effect to track is whether DRAM contract prices already near historic highs plateau or keep climbing as removing unallocated supply shrinks. That is your AI in Asia. Switch up, did it well,